Pastor Roy Gearhart from Galloway United Methodist Church in Franklin, Pennsylvania, sharing a few words of encouragement to help us follow after Jesus. Moving forward in life can be a real struggle. Sometimes it is so tough to just keep making progress, to keep on track, especially when you're trying to break out of a background where you were trapped in sin. And you're trying to break out of those habits of life, trying to break out of those attitudes and get a whole new kind of platform under your feet so that you can move forward following after God. The struggle is that sometimes we want to fall right back into those old patterns. They're not good patterns, and we know it, but they have a hold on us because they have been our habit. They've been the pattern that we've followed. They've been the way that we dealt with our stresses. That's what sin often is all about. It's like trying to find a way to deal with life's stresses, to try to overcome our fears and to try to win the battle of our insecurities. And sin often seizes upon that in us to hold on to us. You're trying to break out into a new pattern of life, and the temptation is to fall right back into that same old pattern just because that's what you're used to. That's what you know how to do. And there are times when the struggle to move forward seems too difficult, and we want to turn around and go back to what we know. And those chains hold us into addictions and into a bondage of patterns and attitudes that destroy us. And so God is leading you and me in a way that is aimed at overcoming the spiritual obstacles that would cause us to turn back and retreat. In fact, as we're following the people of Israel on their journey, exiting slavery in Egypt, and heading back to the land that God promised them as their home, where they really can build a future, we see the parallels there between our struggle spiritually and their struggle to make that journey. In fact, the very first thing that we're told about this journey is that God led them in a path that was, unexpected. Instead of leading them on the shortest and most direct route from Egypt back to Israel, God chose to lead them on a circuitous route. Why would he do that? Well, it explains it to us, actually. It says that God chose to go a roundabout because he didn't want to lead them through Philistine country. Because, you see, he was concerned that they would there get into some kind of battle and end up turning back. You see, the most direct route from Egypt to Israel would be up along the Mediterranean, and that would take them through the country where the Philistines had settled in. And Philistines are a tough crowd. Later on, we'll see David take on one of the Philistines, a giant named Goliath. And so you realize that this issue of combat, fighting, and having to defend yourself in dealing with the Philistines is something that is a long-term issue. But what God does not want is to lead them out and have them right away run into a big battle and turn around, saying that this effort to go to Israel, to go to God's promised land for us, it's too tough. Even though Egypt was terrible and Pharaoh was awful, maybe if we go back there, he would ease up. And it wouldn't be nearly as difficult as this. We're all getting killed out here, and there's just no way to go forward. And you see, that's what often happens to us in our lives. We think that it's too tough to continue to progress forward, and so we regress. We go back to what we're comfortable in. We go back to the failed life that we were trying to leave. And this God is battling to win you over, to win your heart. And sometimes really what God has to do is he has to prove to us that back there in that old pattern of life is so bad that there is no way that you can go back. Even looking back on our lives and being willing to move forward sometimes just means that we have to come to the place where if we don't love God enough, we've got to hate that enough to take the next step forward in overcoming and finding that freedom that allows us to walk with God with peace. Anyone who's made that journey and finally seen their way through to breaking an addiction, to letting a sin in a sinful habit in their life end, and an attitude changes to really birth a whole new life. Anyone who's made that journey and found that victory knows it is worth it. Stick to the journey, follow after God, and see it through. May God bless you today, and as you share this good news, may God make you a blessing wherever He takes you.